everybody, Jim from Jim's Coleus here. All right, we're trotting right along. We're getting busier and busier, and we're just waiting. I'm just waiting for that really warm spring sun and heat to start to kick in. It's still pretty raw out here in New Jersey. It's spring, but we're still, today it's raw. It's there's a light rain coming down, but it's still in the mid 50s. And although that's much welcomed to me, it's much better than 20s or 30s. I'm not a winter person. I prefer the heat. I don't like the drastics, the extremes. I don't like extreme cold, and I don't like the extreme heat either. I don't like the 100-degree, 90-degree stifling, super humid weather. But if I had the choice between the two, I'll take the heat any day. So anyway, as promised, I'm going to touch on something that's really important, and I want to get it over with now. And remember this before the season starts. Now it depends on where you live, of course. If you're in Florida or southern states of New Jersey where it's already hot, you take it from there, but it still applies, and that is hardening. And what hardening is. Hardening applies to when you're growing your own Coleus from seed indoors. If you have an indoor plant, an indoor Coleus, even like a Boston fern that's been indoors, you need to harden. And what hardening means is it's a way to gradually introduce your plant, whether it's a Coleus or what have you, to the extremes of outdoors. So this is what you need to do before you bring your Coleus outdoors. And again, I wouldn't bring out my Coleus until the temperatures outside are above 65, and at night, if there's any chance of them dropping below that, I would bring them in until the last frost. In New Jersey, the last frost is the first week of May. So that doesn't guarantee that I can go out there and put the Coleus out right away. I remember doing this years ago when I first started getting to Coleus. I ordered a bunch of small live Coleus plugs. Didn't educate myself, put them outside. The next day they were all dead. And it's because I didn't educate myself on hardening. So let's go. I'll show you my plants and explain to you. And it's really, really simple. It's not. It sounds like it's a long, drawn-out process, but it's not. It's very, very simple. Okay, so again, it's a little raw out here today, and I have these out right now, but I would normally, I'm just placing these out here for today for the video. Today is much too raw. If I tried to harden these on a day like today, what would happen if I left these out for a few hours and I bring them inside? By tomorrow, all the leaves will start to be curled on the edge, and they'll get brown or a little crispy, and I'd have to trim the Coleus, the leaves, and I'd probably lose some of them and have to start all over, or it'll be that much longer to wait for the plants to grow. Here are my overwintered Coleus. Now these were outside last year already, so they're pretty much what I would consider hardening. But what hardening is and this only applies to the Coleus. Now I'm going to speak of Coleus only. It applies to any plant really that you grow from seed. Hardening is over the course of 2 weeks, you slowly introduce your plant to the fluctuations and the stresses of being outdoors. So simply what you're going to do, and what I'm going to do with these, say tomorrow or the next day or what have you, it's 65, 70. It's sunny out, it's a breeze, it's not really harsh. Then I would put these out for about 45 minutes. But realistically, by the time I expect to get into a near 70, sustained 70-degree day, these are going to be more mature and a little more hardy. But anyway, how you harden, how do you harden your Coleus, and when do you know you need to harden a Coleus? If you went to Home Depot or Lowe's and you bought these, and these are in the outdoor section of Home Depot or Lowe's or your garden center, and you bought a Coleus and it's out in a hanging basket, it's outside, then you don't need to harden it, because it's basically been hardened already by the grower, and it's been outside and it's already hardened. But if you're growing your own, you need to slowly introduce it, and I do that over the course of about a week or two. And what you do is you take whatever Coleus you have in pots, what have you, and you place them outside on a day that's not too windy. This is about as breezy as you want it. You don't want it too windy, but you want to place your Coleus out on a table or in an area where, if you have pets, that it's going to be protected. An area maybe that gets a little sun and shade, and you want to leave them out for an hour or two. And you do that every day for about a week or two. And once that's done, then your Coleus are ready to go. So say for example you have an area under a tree. All right, say I have this area here under a tree that I want to place all my Coleus. Once your Coleus are hardened, after you place them out for over the course of a couple of weeks, and they're in pot safe like this, and again they'll be a little bit more mature, a little more larger than this, you can place them where you want. Coleus don't have to be in pots. You can place them in soil. For example, if you're going to place if you had a tree, just for example, like here, and it had potting, so it had soil around it, and you want to place a whole bunch of Coleus under here, you can do that. One caveat: do not use cedar mulch when planting your Coleus, because cedar mulch is poisonous to Coleus, so they'll die. So that's just an off topic, but you can place, this would be like an ideal area if I had soil, say, and I wanted to plant these directly in the ground. I didn't want to put them in pots. You can do that, but just don't use the cedar mulch. Make sure you harden them. Make sure you let them sit out at least every day for a week or two before you place them outside, and do it. If you're in a frost zone like New Jersey or what have you, make sure you do it well after the last frost. Make sure that every day and night is above 65, 70. You don't want to be hasty and put them out too early, because they'll die. And I've made that mistake. And just a side note, these are the pots that I use every year. I just unwrap them. I wrap them every winter. They're pretty expensive, so I like to keep them protected over the winter. I got some good quality Miracle-Gro potting mixture in here, and I put all sorts of fertilizer. I put some mixture, I compost, I put some coffee grounds and mixture. Worm casings are really good. There's a lot of natural mix. There's, and in New Jersey here, there's another product that's a fertilizer called Ocean Grow. You can mix any of that into the mix. It's just great. I like to get this soil really fertilized, and if you've been following my channel, you know how beautiful the Coleus that I put in this. And here's a few pictures of, if you're a first timer here are a few pictures of the fabulous Coleus that I put in these pots. And this one does pretty well here. I have a Rose of Sharon on the side. I had that trimmed really well because it was really getting out of hand, but this one does really well because it gets a little bit of the shade in the summer. I mean, in the morning, because it faces the southeast along the ocean. It gets some shade in the morning, and then in the afternoon, obviously, as the sun sets, it gets a lot of sun during the afternoon. So this is the ideal spot for a Coleus arrangement, where it gets dappled sunshine, a little bit of shade. That's what dappled sunshine is, obviously. And I get I just get a fabulous, beautiful Coleus pot here every year. And then this side here, this one gets sun all day long. So I put, there are Coleus that can take full sun. You can just look them up. But most of all of the Coleus that I grow are pretty much full sun. They do well, they just need to be watered more. So if you're going to grow Coleus in a pot that's going to be outside in a full sun area, just prepare to water it a couple of times a day. So you can grow Coleus in full sun. All right, so I didn't leave them out very long, just really as long as to really shoot the video. And believe me, you can actually see the stress, not just for being out 10 minutes or so. It's in the mid 50s, but it's raw out. We were getting a light rain, but it's just too raw. So if I had left these out for an hour on a condition like today, so if I put these Coleus outside on a day like today, where it's in the mid 50s again, the next day, probably these young ones would have probably, I don't know if they would have died, but I would lose at least a couple of leaves. You'll start to see the leaves curl. When the leaves start curling, that's the Coleus covering up. So it's protecting itself, just like you would. So if you're cold, what you do is you kind of cringe together. You put your arms around and you rub. You're trying to protect yourself. You're trying to warm yourself up. Or it's getting too much heat. So that's when you see your Coleus leaves curl. And there's some other watering issues. I don't want to get off the beaten track, but that's another sign. You know, that's how the Coleus protects itself, by curling upwards. It's covering up. It's trying to protect itself. So it's important that you harden your Coleus. Don't be impatient and put them out too soon. Certainly don't put your Coleus out without hardening them. And you can see they're really, I know we just shot a video, but I can't help but share these with you. Again, I have the Osmocote in here. I'm not watering them every day. You can see this one here. It looks a little dry. Dig down a little. Again, I mentioned this. Dig down. It still feels a little dry down there. So I'm going to give that a little shot of water. Not a lot. Because the Miracle-Gro potting mixture is pretty good. So you don't want to overwater. And again, as I mentioned, if you're overwatering your Coleus, you're going to start to see it yellow. You're going to lose that rich green. If you start to see them yellow a little bit, ease off on the water. So again, I have the fertilizer in here, the light, the watering, the fertilizer. That's all we need at this point. It's just paying attention to them every day. You don't have to spend hours on them. Just check on them. And if you see any problems here or there, correct them. If you have any questions, shoot me a picture. That always helps. If you see a leaf that's damaged or ripped or what have you, just cut it. You can cut a leaf off even this early. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to replace it. It's going to grow. You can see more. Again, Coleus grow 2 by 2 by 2, so you can see the next set of leaves coming in. So don't worry. There's the cotyledons down the bottom. I don't disturb them. I just let them stay on. They'll fall off, or they'll stay. They may stay with the Coleus its whole life until they get really small. I mean, they're always going to look smaller once. But yeah, those are the cotyledons. They're still on. So just leave them. If they fall off, they fall off. If they don't disturb them. They're not hurting anything. So, but yeah, just care for your Coleus. Keep them watered, fertilized, lots of light. I can't stress the importance of making sure that they get proper light. And if you don't have a really bright window or you don't have the southern face window, then get an LED light. They're really cheap. You can get them on Amazon. If you're not sure, check with me. I'll send you the link. But make sure you get a full spectrum LED grow light and supplement your Coleus with the grow lights. I keep my grow lights on even when they're at the window, and I have them go off at about 9 o'clock every night with a timer. So make sure you hit the light. The light is very important, especially when they're young like this. And those are Kong Reds, because they have the black, the green with the black center and the red. That's a Kong Red. Kongs are my favorite. Kong Reds, Wizard Rose Kongs. Kongs are just really fabulous. They just, especially with the big jumbo ones, and they just reach out. They really grab you. Here's a Wizard Rose. These are just fabulous. I know I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. But I just love them. Such a beautiful, whoops. There you go. Love that pink. So we're just continuing doing what we're doing. Keep them, as I said. Here we go. Colossal marble, another colossal marble. All right, so I'm hoping my next couple of weeks or so, hopefully we'll get a day in the 70s and we'll get all of these trays out. I'll get my 10,000 steps in, that's for sure. But we'll get all these out and let them sit out for an hour or two, and then bring them back in. And that's how you grow healthy, strong, beautiful Coleus. So follow along here. Okay, it's actually several hours later in the afternoon from when I first started this video, when I had these outside, just to show you the effects. And if you could see, this is one of the more tender Coleus. You can actually see, it doesn't really show as much on the camera, but it actually is showing, like, it's actually stressed out. You can see it sort of curled up a little. That's from being out, even for 20 minutes. Because it was 50 degrees today, it was raw. And I just wanted to show you, when you're hardening, how important it is to harden your Coleus, but also to be patient and not bring them out, certainly without hardening them. But even on days just to harden them, you want to make sure that it's not raw, 50, under 65 degrees, because it really does damage, especially these young, tender Coleus. So you can see this one particular Coleus, just by being outside for what, 20 minutes, I guess. Okay, so I hope that helped out. So again, it's a real short video, but it's very important because you can really lose your plants. And if you're following along and you've been watching my videos, you'll know how I've mentioned it a number of times, how I get impatient and I want to get my Coleus growing. I want to get them outside. And this applied years and years ago when I used to do spring flea markets, and that's when I used to start my Coleus in December. And the spring, it was just too raw, and I ended up doing so much extra work because the Coleus were getting damaged from, I just rushed them out to my greenhouse. I used the heater, but it was still too raw. And there was a few nights that it dropped to the 40s, and although the heater was in there, it just was too stressed out, and I didn't harden them the correct way. So don't rush. Look at your forecast, know where you live. Slowly introduce your Coleus outside. And another thing I like to do during the hardening process, I hope, is during that week or two, if you have one or two of the days that it's raining out, but not a torrential rain, but a light rain, and it's, say, in, you know, upper 60s, 70s, and you're getting a rain, not a storm, not a thunderstorm, but a rain, get your Coleus out there for a while. If it's a fairly heavy rain, you don't want to leave them out and get them drenched, but get them out, get that rain as part of your hardening, because there's nothing better than some rain. You can water your grass, you can water your plants, but there's nothing like a natural rainstorm. So I always hope that during the period that I harden my Coleus, that I get a couple of days in that are rainy, that I can get my Coleus out and get used to the rain. So again, hardening is just introducing the stresses of the outdoors, the sun, the wind, the rain, the temperature fluctuations, and so forth, the movement of the sun. It's all part of the hardening process of growing the most healthy Coleus. And if you harden your Coleus, then they're going to grow to be much more healthy. You're going to have really healthy Coleus, and that's what I do. That's how I've grown my Coleus over the years and learned and made my mistakes, and I tried to build on that, and I'm trying to pass this on to you guys. All right, so any questions, comments on hardening, feel free to ask me, send me a question, check me out on Instagram, and stay tuned. We're going to be planting. I'm going to head inside now. I got some more Coleus to pot, and like I said, I'm really itching to get out to the greenhouse, but I'm being patient. So, all right, everybody, we'll check back soon, and I'll have another video shortly. Thanks for watching Jim's Holiest of Coleus. Take care, everyone.